Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to talk about some books that are on the interesting topic of Nostradamus, prophecy and 2012. So I have 3 books here, and the first one is called The Mystery of 2012, and the subtitle is Predictions, Prophecies and Possibilities. And this book was written in about 2009, about 3 years before the 2012 date. And this is one of my favourite books on this topic. Each chapter is written by a different author about 2012 and what that actually means and what that actually meant at the time. A lot of people got the idea or had the idea about 2012 that it was to do with just one actual date, which is, according to the Mayans, the 21st of December 2012. And the Mayan elders tried to explain at the time and earlier on, in that year of 2012, they tried to explain that it was not about one date in 2012. It was about a whole new cycle that was going to start on that date. So for the Mayan elders, and this is all to do with their ideas about cycles and about astrology and astronomy and mathematics. It was all about the start of a whole new cycle for the earth. So this is a really good book. It's really interesting. It's quite accessible because there's different views from a lot of people who are quite well known for their studies and expertise in the Mayan and 2012 ideas and thoughts. So I find this book really interesting, and some people may find some chapters more interesting in particular, but it's got a really good introduction as well to explain all the different changes that have been expected or predicted from this date in 2012 onwards. So I really recommend this book. I think it is a great book, and it's still available. It should be pretty easy to get, and because it's by multiple authors, it actually has not been edited. There's no editor for the book, but when I put the details below the video, I'll give the title of the book and I'll give the publisher and the date so that you will be able to find it quite easily. It's quite a thick book. There's quite a lot of information in here, and I think it is a great book. So, The Mystery of 2012 by several authors, and one of them is Greg Braden, who is quite well known, but there are lots of other great authors in this book who have written separate chapters. The next book is one of my favourite Nostradamus books. It's called The Prophecies of Nostradamus and the World's Greatest Seers and Mystics. And it is by Francis King and Stephen Skinner. And the subtitle also is Prophecies and Predictions for the Millennium and Beyond. I really like this book too. It has the prophecies and the interpretation of the Nostradamus prophecies in here, but it also has lots of information about lots of other prophets and mystics from lots of different sources all through history, all about the prophecies for not only past history but for the coming years, and from the millennium that we are now in, that we have now started, and from here onwards. So this is a really great book. I'm not sure if it's still in print. I'm not sure. It may be still in print. It might be relatively easy to get, but if not, you'd need to try somewhere like Amazon for this book. But I find it a really fascinating book. It's a great book also for people who want to know more and they are not aware of all of the different, a whole range of different prophets and seers and mystics who had some very interesting predictions for the future, which is pretty much like the period that we are in now, and from here onwards as well. And I think if you read a bit about past predictions, you'll be able to see how quite a number of them have come true. So the Prophecies of Nostradamus and the World's Greatest Seers and Mystics by Francis King and Stephen Skinner. And the last Nostradamus book, the last book I've got for today, it's another Nostradamus book, but this one's quite different in a couple of ways. This is Nostradamus, The Millennium and Beyond by Peter Lorie, and it's also got contribution by Liz Greene, who is quite a well-known psychological astrologer. And this is a hardcover book. This is probably out of print, but as I was saying before, you could probably try to get this on Amazon. And it's got beautiful coloured photos and pictures in here. There is a small chapter on each of the prophecies and interpretation of the prophecies of Nostradamus. And what is different about this book is the astrology charts that are in the book as well, that have been contributed to by Liz Greene. And Liz Greene also writes the introduction in this book as well. And there are not many books with coloured pictures or photographs in regard to the different historical periods and events. But to have astrology charts for quite a few of the events and the countries that are in here, it really makes this book quite unique for that reason. I think it makes the book even more interesting to have some of these natal charts provided in here. And when I say natal chart, it's not really a natal chart. Some of them, I think, are natal charts for different famous people, well-known, notable people from history. But there are also charts for nations and countries in here. And I think there are probably charts for the actual events as well. So it's a really interesting book. And this book was written in 1993, before a lot of the events happened. And from what I can tell, about half of them actually did happen and take place. And you would probably be able to tell if you get this book that some events are really in formation now. So it's really quite interesting, and this is another of my favourite Nostradamus books. So this is Nostradamus, The Millennium and Beyond by Peter Lorie, with Liz Greene as a kind of co-author. So I'll put the details below the video, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about those books. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.